everybody once again to Bits and Banter. This is Joe Cade here with Arcade Allen, and we have a treat today. We've got the owner, president, founder, CEO. What is your title? This is Jack from Jersey Jack Pinball.
Hey guys, my title, I can't really say what it is, but I like founder the best because there can only be one or two founders. So
Very true.
Yeah.
that one's the best one.
Thank you for joining us, Jack.
So yeah, you're Jersey Jack now, but you mentioned that you grew up in New York. So yeah, where'd you grow up? I'd love to hear about that.
Well, I grew up in Canarsie, Brooklyn. It was all when my parents drove there. Drove me and my brother and my sister to see the house that we were going to live in. There was a farm there, and it was like a broken down farm with a broken down farmhouse. And I said, "That's where we're going to live." No, they knocked all that stuff down and they built brand new homes. So, you know, that was a little while ago. That was like 1964-ish, around that time. And I grew up in Brooklyn. It was good. You know, the schools were good, neighborhood was good, all mixed ethnic people, so everybody got along. I went to a big high school that had 6,000 students, so you had a split session. You went from early morning to afternoon, or afternoon to late at night. So they made two schools out of it like that, and that's where I really got into electronics. When I was about 14 years old, my neighbor across the street was a plumber, and his daughter was on CB, and his daughter had a crush on me. I didn't really like her, but anyway, my mom bought the CB radio from him for $25, and I got on CB radio, and it was around Easter time, and Christine, her name was, she called me Jelly Bean, so that became my handle, was Jelly Bean, and everybody wanted to kick my ass because that was my handle. So the good thing was I was always a fast runner. I was on the track team in high school, and people couldn't catch me. If they gave me the ball in a touch football game, I ran away with the ball. They called me the cockroach. I got pushed down a couple times. I still got some bruises on my arms from sliding on the street. And, you know, it was a lot of fun. You know, I got into electronics.
Were there arcades nearby? Did you?
Nah,
I guess that was like the
Coney
70s, Coney Island.
We used to go to Coney Island. We used to go to Coney Island. We used to go to Nathan's and have hot dogs and go to the candy store and then go to the arcades and play a lot of skee ball. Not so much pinball, I don't remember them, but the rifle gun games, all the mechanical arcade games with the big chains in them. You know, you look over here straight and it looks like you're looking 30 feet down, but it's a mirror all the way down the cabinet.
Yeah.
Those are really cool. So a lot of my friends, we would walk in the street and we would pick up old radios and old TVs and scavenge them for parts, and then build stuff out of it or fix them. And you tinker around, you read from a book, you learn from each other, and you know, you figure it out.
That's great, Jack. That's awesome. And tell us now how you parlayed that into the empire that you built with Jersey Jack.
Well, the long story is I was going to go to college for electrical engineering. And I don't know, around May that year, before I graduated high school, I said, you know, I think I'm going to take 6 months off. I'm just going to get a job. I'm just going to do anything I want to break. And my electronics teacher, Mr. D'Amico, said, don't do that, because if you go to work and you get the money, you're not going to go to school. Nah, that's not going to happen. So I answered an ad, and I'll tell you the longer version for a minute. So I went on an interview to be a clerk typist at a shipping company in South Brooklyn. I had to take the subway to the street, Smith 9th Street. It's a big, gigantic train station. You walk like about 10,000 stairs down. I walked to this warehouse building, saw this guy. He liked me. He liked whatever he liked. He said, you're hired. You could start Monday. I said, okay. He says, what do you want to do with your life? I says, I want to do something with electronics. Oh, really? Great. Let me show you something. He says, come here. He walked me over to the shelf. He went to a radio that was on the shelf. He turned it on, and he turned it off. And he said, that's the most electronics you're going to do here. I said, nice meeting you. Thanks. I went back up the steps. I said, you know, you're schmuck. The train car was empty. There was a newspaper on the seat. I got the newspaper. I looked into Help Wanted, and there was an ad for a pinball mechanic. I called up, went 2 days in a row for an interview, and I got hired. And that was the beginning of fixing games. This old German guy, I'm older than him now, Heinz Magdalinsky hired me. And they had game rooms in every college in the New York metropolitan area. So here I am, college age. I got a car. I got a beeper. I was making $125 a week. And what's wrong with this? And I'm going to college. I'm at Columbia University. I'm at Pace. I'm at City, and NYU, you know, St. Francis. I'm hanging with all the kids my age. and I'm getting paid. I says, this is pretty good. I like this.
So you had a pretty big area of coverage. You go to all these different. You were like in charge of maintaining the pinball machines.
Yeah, when I started, there were 4 technicians, or mechanics as they were called, and Heinz was the master. And after about 3 months, they fired one guy, and after another 2 or 3 months, they fired the other guy. And I think I got a $25 raise with each one that they fired. So so it was just me and Heinz taking care of maybe probably had to be about 2,500 games, 3,000 games. So I guess the story goes, then after that, they sold half the company with me to somebody, a guy named Jesse Gottlieb, who had an ice cream company in LaSalle Ice Cream in Brooklyn. And he had all these street locations. So he got into all the bodegas. So now I was no longer going to colleges. I was going in the hood, in all these bodegas and all these places like that, Franklin Avenue, Eastern Parkway, all down in Brooklyn. I wasn't afraid, but it wasn't the same feeling, you know? So I did that for a while, and that summer there was a blackout. I guess it was maybe 1977, 78, somewhere in there, 79. And there was a big blackout, and all of New York City, Brooklyn, different areas got destroyed. And all the games that we had got burned to the ground. I said, well, this is interesting. I wonder what he's going to do now. Well, the government had a 2% loan program, and they refunded all kinds of money. So everybody bought new games, and they rebuilt everything over a period of time. And I said, you know what? I think I'm going to do my own thing. I didn't have a job, but I had a lot of contacts. And I said to Larry one day, I said, listen, you know, I'm going to give you my 2 weeks notice or a month notice, whatever you need. And we parted as friends, and I got a phone call the next day, and he said, Jackie, the game operators are tiring. You want to put games in here this year? Wow, look at that. When one door closes, a window opens. So here's what I said. I said, yeah, of course I want to put games in there. So I didn't have any money. So I called this guy at a distributor that I worked with in New Jersey, Mondale Distributing. And I said, hey, Tony, I need some games for this beach club that's opening. He says, all right, what's the address? He takes the address. He says, all right, we'll be there tomorrow. He hangs up the phone. What just happened? The next day, the truck pulls up, and there's no cell phones or anything. You know, there's no texting. The next day, the truck pulls up like 10 o'clock in the morning, and he's got a 280 Zap, a Wizard pinball machine, 2 other games that I don't remember. Anyway, I get the games. I call him up. He says, Yankel, did the games come? I says, yeah, they came. Okay, listen, you know how you're going to pay me, right? I says, right. He says, you're going to take the money from the collection every week and send it to me. You don't need the money. You're living at home with your parents anyway. I says, okay, that's fine. The games are doing like $60. The games are doing $60 a day or so on my end.
60? Wow.
Yeah.
Very good.
They were pulling like $400 a week. So $400 a week, the place was open 13 weeks. I paid for all those games.
Tell us about some reflections that you have when you look back and see the boom of the pinball industry. I'm sure you remember that, adults, kids playing it, and that diverging, obviously, with the popularity, the apex of video game cabinets. Talk about some of your memories there when we look back at the heyday of the silver ball in the 70s and the 80s.
Well, in the 70s, you know, and I was an operator at the end of the 70s, really, pinball was still king. You know, you had to have a pickup truck with a lift gate, and moving these things around isn't easy. I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but, you know, at that point, I could move a game with somebody else. You know, and it was fierce competition for locations. You know, there was a lot of wise guys, wannabe wise guys in Brooklyn, and who are you with, who do you know, who you don't know who I know, and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, but I never had any problem with anybody. I was very lucky. I never had any problem with anybody. I had one wise guy came to me one day and said, you know how to fix slot machines? I said, no, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
You know how to fix these poker machines? You know, God forbid I fix something for the guy. He'd probably own me or something.
Probably.
You're better off saying you don't know. You're stupid.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, as we got into the 80s with all the video games, it was great till about like 1983 or so, and then things kind of crashed. But I didn't feel it. When you're a street operator and you have games like that, it's different than if you had a big FEC, which there weren't on at the time. You know, there was no FECs. There was no gigantic locations. There was places like Coney Island or Rockaway that had games, or maybe different places upstate in New York. And then eventually what I did was I opened amusement centers. I opened an arcade in 1990 in Jackson, New Jersey, Jackson Family Arcade. I opened an arcade in a bigger arcade, 15,000 square feet, Fuzzy's Family Fun Factory. In Howell, New Jersey, we used to do about 200 birthday parties a month. And the place was rocking and rolling. It had an indoor climb and slide play area, ball bounce. It had a moon bounce. It had a mini golf course. It had batting cages. It had the whole thing.
Wow.
And all the games in the back of the building were on free play. You had to have a wristband. And the games in the front were on coin play. And somebody came in one day and wanted to buy it from me, so I sold it to him. And then when I sold it December 15, 1999. I had containers on the water that my friends from Mondale, who sold games in Europe, I had this idea like in September 25th, 1999. I had an idea that hit me in the head. I'm going to sell games to the home. Because I had a customer, FAO Schwartz, the toy store, that I had when I from before, because I got them pinball machines in their catalog to put in their catalog, but they never sold anything. You know, because they were like selling for $7,500,
yep.
which is a crazy number to say in 1999 when the game was $3,000. So there was, you know, they didn't know what they were doing. So in '99, the buyer from FAO called me in September, and he said, "Could you get me Star Wars Episode 1?" I said, "Sure, I could get you." I don't know.
Oh, was that the Pinball 2000?
Yeah. Star Wars Episode 1, right? They came to Jersey. And that year, FAO sold almost all of the games. By March or April, they were all gone.
Were they in the catalog, or were they in the store? Or both?
They were in the catalog.
Okay.
I still have the '99 FAO catalog. It's in there. I had that, and then every year we had games in there. My first year, I started pinballsales.com in 2000. We did $1.4 million, and $1 million of it was FAO.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
So when the games came in from Europe, some of the people that worked for me at Fuzzy's, one person in particular, my manager, Larry, he didn't know what he was going to do, and he stayed with the guy that bought Fuzzy's. He didn't like him, and like 2 days later, he comes knocking on my door. "Hey, get the hell in here. Get in here, will you?" So he worked, and he wound up running the factory in Lakewood. Actually, I'll get to that.
Yeah.
But he worked, and you know what I did was we started reconditioning the games. There weren't many parts. I mean, if you needed a wide body lockdown bar for a Williams game, maybe it was on eBay for like $200. There were none. Just like what today is it's the complete opposite. There was nothing. It was like people, you know, banging stones together to make something.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, you know, we started selling games on eBay. I never did that before. I had this big digital camera like this big, take a picture and put the thing in there and upload a picture and everything. And nobody was doing that. You know, nobody was doing it. It was great because nobody was doing it. Nobody knew about it. You know, operators would sell games to home customers around Christmas time, holidays, and then in January, the guy don't answer his phone when the game breaks. You know, so, oh well.
Did you like?
But
I remember in the '90s, like the Indiana Jones and Addams Family. Like there was this peak in the '90s, and pinball seemed to be struggling a little bit. And they tried to do Pinball 2000, integrate like video games with pinball, maybe not too successful. Did you feel like that was like a low period in pinball during that time, or?
So when I went to IAPA, I think it was either IAPA, one of the shows, big show, where Williams showed off the Pinball 2000. And, you know, you could buy an extra playfield. You could have a playfield in your truck. You could take that one out. You swap it out. And I'm looking at the thing, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Then I'm like saying after a couple of minutes, every game they make, every shot has to go to the middle of the playfield. Every game's going to be the same. And I remember they were doing a presentation, and they asked if there were any questions. And I remember asking the question, with that monitor in the middle of the playfield, don't you think every game's going to be the same because you got to shoot to the middle of the playfield? Next question. Okay, so I guess maybe I had some thought about that, you know.
Yeah.
It was an interesting time, and when I realized that I needed more pinball machines than what Europe was providing, then I wanted to become a Stern distributor.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because
Without being a Stern.
Stern was the only game in town in the early 2000s in terms of manufacturing.
Yeah, so in 1999, at the end of 1999, I remember buying a Harley Davidson game that was made by Sega Pinball, and it was in my building Christmas Eve, and a customer came to pick it up, right? But I bought it from a distributor in the Midwest, and not from Stern directly, so I made a little bit less money. But at least I had a customer, and everybody was happy. And it was a Sega game. It wasn't Stern yet. So in January of 2000, became Stern Pinball. And on my own, you know, they had some interesting games. They had High Roller Casino. They had Striker Extreme. They had pool game. What the hell? The Sharky Shootout. You know. So I took Sharky Shootout and I had an opportunity to do something with Ford Motor Company with a premium catalog for salesmen around the country that reached their goal. They needed different prizes for them to buy with their points. So I put the Sharky Shootout pinball machine in the book for what was equal to about $3,600 at the time. I didn't know what the exact cost of the game was, but I thought it was around $2,000 or $2,200 or something like that. I just took a guess. So I had 36 orders for Sharky Shootout. This is great. I go to the show to meet this guy Gary Stern, and I can't get near the guy. You don't want to talk to me, you know. But I knew Joe Blackwell, and I knew Jolly Backer was the sales guy, because I knew somebody that knew Jolly, so they got me over to the booth. So they had to convince him to talk to me. It took the next day I had to talk to the guy. I go and I talk to him, and I tell him what I'm doing, and he says, "Well, I already have 2 distributors in New Jersey, which was Betson and State Sales at the time." I said, "Yeah, but they don't sell to the home." He says, "Well, nobody in the home wants a pinball machine.
Unbelievable.
And that internet crap will never amount to anything, and you're going to be out of business in a couple months after Christmas."
Oh.
He was Karnak, right?
That's what he told me. So I said, "Tell you what, Gary, here's a check. Here's a check for 36 games. I'm going to get up and take a walk and come back in a couple minutes. You let me know what you want to do." Well, Jolly and Joe Blackwell tracked out. Here's a picture of me and Joe Blackwell.
Oh.
Nice.
Bring it closer, Jack. Can you bring it closer to the camera? I'll sharpen it. Perfect.
Oh,
Perfect,
yeah,
Jack.
Spider-Man, yeah.
There he is.
So that's a Spider-Man on test at a test location. Everything on the game is red
Oh, yeah.
because the artwork wasn't approved yet.
Yeah.
That's a great shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe's a great guy too. So anyway, I became a Stern distributor, right? So what did I do?
They weren't doing, their
What did I
sales
do? I
weren't that
sold
great during
pinball
that time,
machines.
yeah.
No, they probably needed that money to keep the lights
Yeah.
on, my guess, you know. But anyway, I became a Stern distributor. I put it all over the pinballsales.com website, and I started selling games. And as I started selling games, a guy is in Iowa, there's a guy in Florida, there's a guy in New York, there's a guy in Long Island, there's a guy in Maine, and Stern never shipped a game on a pallet. They always went on a truck with a hand truck.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They never put them on a pallet. The first time a Stern game, I believe this is to be true, I believe I was there, I had to design a pallet that was 30 inches by 30 inches. They cost $7 each to ship them on, because they never drop shipped anything.
Wow. And at the time, I mean, what was the pinball machine selling for? A couple, like 3,000-4,000?
So a Monopoly pinball machine with my 2% cash discount that I paid in advance, it was $2,802.01.
Wow.
280201. You know why I know that? Because I sold 1 million of them at that price. That's why.
Really? You sold 1 million? That's amazing.
Monopolies, I sold the most Monopolies. We did Monopoly Platinum too. You know, you talk about special edition games. When Austin Powers came out, I wanted to make gold Austin Powers, and I wanted Gary to sign the back glass. He never signed anything before. What the hell? Who the hell wants his signature? he says, "Well, I'm not a celebrity. I don't want to sign." I says, "Listen, you're going to sign it. Here's a gold marker.
Yeah.
Here you go. It's a gold marker. Sign your name on the back glass.
Yeah.
Gary Stern." So I had to make everything was gold. So he had a problem with that because it kept coming
Jack,
out
you
yellow.
invented the LE.
I know.
That's right.
The LE version.
Well,
of
you talk
Stern.
about, Jack, I tell you, you talk about inventing, I mean, you're talking about home arcade. You're talking about bringing pinball to the home 25, 30 years before, you know, home arcade is such a thing right now. That is really the renaissance, if you will, of pinball and cabinets, people owning that. Go ahead.
If you go back and listen to Topcast, I probably said on that thing with Shaggy and Norm, I said, we're selling games to the home right now to children that are going to grow up and become adults in 20 years, and they're going to go out in the wild and they're going to want to play pinball.
That's right.
That's what I said 25 years ago.
Amazing.
We're growing the next crop of pinball people.
There is really a resurgence of it. You know, me and Alan even recently spoke to the owners of Barrels of Fun, and they feel it too. It's really palpable, and there's a real appetite for it now, more than ever. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I talked about the lock bar before. So when I started Jersey Jack Pinball and I decided Wizard of Oz was going to be a wide body, what do we need? Gee, we need wide body lockdown bars. somebody's got to buy the tool for this thing. The tool's 20 grand. Okay, well, amortize it over how many I make. So the guy that owned the metal company says, you know what? You don't have to pay for the tool. You're just starting out. You don't need to waste 20 grand. I'll buy the tool. Yeah, because now he owns the tool. He called Wayne in Australia. He called the guys in London. He called the guys in France. He called the guys in Canada. He called everybody. I ordered 1,000 lock bars. He sold another 1,500.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was pressing him. He pressed more. And every vendor did that with me. Every vendor. I went to see a vendor at a plastic company for our inserts and our playfields. And he said to me, oh, you're the guy that's going to go out of business. I said, well, nice to meet you too, Steve. So he said to me, come here, let me show you something. He took me to his room. He had all these boxes and boxes on the shelves of all like inserts, you know, blue stars and red arrows and white circles, yellow circles and green. He says, you didn't design your game yet, right? I said, no. He says, well, pick from all of this stuff and I'll give you a good deal. I said, Steve, what? All my inserts are going to be clear. What? The lights are going to be white the whole game? You're really stupid. You're really dumb. I don't even know.
What? That's funny.
I wrote the guy a check for 25 grand to do business with him that day. I'm trying to explain to him what RGB LEDs are. He was like trying to explain, you know, nuclear fission to like like a penguin or something like that.
So when you had the idea to start Jersey Jack, like how did you go about it? Did you say, oh, I have to go around and raise money to get the materials and the building and the idea, and like how did you go about that?
Well, you know, pinball sales was going along okay. 2008, we crashed into a wall with the economy. 2009 was ugly. 2010 was uglier. Stern was making CSI and 24 and Buck Hunter and NBA Jam and stuff like that. We went from selling about 2,000 Stern games a year to selling 47.
Wow.
And everybody said it was the economy. Nobody has money for this stuff, blah, 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 blah. With the economy bad as it was, I didn't have one customer trading the game back. Nobody called me up and said, hey, I'm broke, take the game back, give me what. Nobody did that. So I just reasoned, I said, you know what? We sell everything nobody needs. So if we're selling everything nobody needs, it's not the economy. It's the what your product is selling. So in 2010, I really started thinking about starting a pinball company. And I had Rick Bartlett from Planetary Pinball, Matt Cristiano, I had Lyman, God bless him. I had a whole bunch of people that were behind me, encouraging me to do this. And some smart person, not so, I'm not going to name him, said to me, you know what you should do? You should take pre-orders and fund the company that way and put some of your money in. And this way you'll build the games. And I said, yeah, maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. Is that an idea? I don't know. Yeah, that's a... Hey, guys. So I got some seasoned industry professionals together and hired them, you know, as programmers, designers, artists, all that stuff. All people that weren't working in pinball but were pinball people. None of them had jobs, so it was not difficult to hire them. And they all came in and they said to me, we had this big meeting, Roger Sharp was there too, where we drew on a whiteboard for a whole day what we want the game to have in it and what it was going to be and all that kind of stuff. And at the end of everything, I said, well, what's it going to cost to build? It's going to cost this. What's it going to cost? What's the bill of materials going to be? $4,000. Really? Okay. And how long is it going to take to make it? About 14 months, 15 months. Okay. Well, the game was $7,000 and it took almost 3 years.
Wow. How did you settle on your first, like, did you go in like Wizard of Oz, or you had a couple that you were considering and kind of narrowed it down?
So a guy that worked for me at the time, Drew Maniscalco, was doing licensing, and he's the president of Andamiro, the amusement redemption company now. And he looked at Warner Brothers licenses, and there was like Three Stooges and a whole bunch of other stuff on there, and there was the Wizard of Oz. And I said, get me the Wizard of Oz. At the time, I also had another company, Elout USA, which made cranes, and I was partners with a guy in Belgium that owned the company, so I was a minority owner of the company, but I was the president CEO of the company. I was running the company. And we had several thousand games on location throughout the United States at Six Flags and Busch Gardens and all these amusement and entertainment theme parks. And we operated a lot of the crane machines, you know. So they had a game in Belgium called Mistral that was a pusher. You know, it pushes coins and chips on the playfield and everything. And I saw the game, and I said I could redo this game with cards. They only gave one card. I'm going to give you a set of cards, and you're going to be able to play this game as Wizard of Oz. Everybody looked at me like I was I don't know. Jack said that we'll do that, whatever. So they finally made me a game by June of 2011 now. Wait, I'm getting a little off road.
That's okay.
So the game, I got it in Jenkinson's in Jersey Shore in Point Pleasant. A friend of mine that was there, we put it in there. It was a $50,000 game. Okay, $50,000. He calls me the day before, going to deliver it. Please don't deliver it. My boss don't want it. I'm going to get fired. I said, listen, you're not paying any money for it. It's free money. Just it's on the truck already. We're coming at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's coming to you. It's coming. I got to get it out somewhere to see what it can make. I know what it can make in my head. I don't know what it can make in the game. First day it got there, I went there that night with my wife. The game made like $600. I said, man, not bad from 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The next day it made $1,200. It was a Thursday. Yeah. The next day it made $2,500 on Friday. Saturday it made $5,000.
Oh my God.
Nobody cared that it was $50,000. Wow. That game is on the Replay magazine chart for like 130 months. It's the greatest redemption game ever created.
This is all like, and you speak about that. The same goes for the more popular tables. Godfather's another example as well. The return on investment, the ROI, you don't get immediately. To your point, you get it on replay value and consumers every single day, every single week, month over month. That was smart of you. Very smart, Jack.
So that was an offshoot of that. And then I really wanted to put my heart into pinball. The cranes and everything like that, I probably could have done it forever. And my most excitement would be, what am I getting for lunch today? Because I had the company running pretty good. I had a lot of good people working for the company at all the parks. And, I traded back my stock in one company for another. I gave it back to my partner and we remained friends, and that was that. But, it was a good experience. It was nice meeting a lot of people and traveling, in the parks and all that stuff. Behind the scenes, when Harry Potter first opened at Universal and all that. It was good. It was good.
Do you think, Jack, with Wizard of Oz, it looks nothing like the screen, the lights, the quality of the materials? They took a look at it like, what the heck is that? Because it was like so different than what was out there from other pinball manufacturers.
Well, I had in my mind, I wanted to keep all the good things about pinball, and I wanted to add in all the things that weren't added to pinball for 13 years. And it wasn't as if I didn't have conversations with people at Stern about ideas. But the attitude, for the most part, I'm not going to speak for Gary because I respect him a lot and he can say what he wants to say. The attitude was, listen, we're the only ones making them. If you want a pinball machine, this is where you come. That's it. We don't have to innovate. What do we have to innovate for? We're making money now and we're doing what we're doing. But I guess I showed them something. I showed them that you could sell the game for more money. Maybe you don't have to put everything that we put in it. Yeah. Or maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe what the themes are. I picked Wizard of Oz because my daughter Jen loved Wizard of Oz growing up. She watched it a billion times. When I was a kid, it was only on TV once a year, so it was a big occasion. Everybody got together, made popcorn and all that stuff, and you watched it as a family. So a lot of people have memories of it. And I wanted girls, women, children to play a game. I was tired of Spider-Man and this man and that man and all this stuff. Male testosterone-based games. I said, why don't we break out? So a guy says to me, an operator says to me from New York, I'm not going to buy that game because if I put it in the bar, it's going to be stupid. I says, you know what? You're going to be stupid if you don't put it in the bar. If you put it in the bar, every girl at the bar is going to be playing Wizard of Oz, and every guy's going to try to pick her up.
That's right.
You put the game in there, it made a boatload of money, It's just the opposite of what you think. The flipper slippers, I think I have one here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the flipper.
I got plenty of props.
Yeah, I tell you, I love this interview, Alan. I love it. Jack's everywhere.
These flipper slippers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter, Warner Brothers sent us a whole bunch of junk, licensed junk that they get because people have to send them samples.
Sure.
So one of the things they sent us was a salt and pepper shaker with the ruby slipper on it. So Jen calls me in her office one day. She says, "Dad, come here. Look." And she goes like this. She says, "Hey, this is unbelievable."
So that started your relationship with, Warner Brothers, which continued on
till today.
To today. Yeah.
That's right.
That's so cool.
Warner Brothers, we cut our teeth on Warner Brothers. Actually, at one point when I got the license for Wizard of Oz, somebody at Warner Brothers called me up and said, we can't give you the license because you're not in business 5 years. I said, what are you talking about? Well, we have a strict policy. We don't do business with companies less than 5 years.
Yeah, right.
I said, Kathleen, what you need to do is go to Google and put my name in there, and you let me know if you can't license me the game. And she called me back in a half hour and she says, never mind. Not a problem. Not a problem.
So after Wizard of Oz, the next game was Hobbit or no?
The Hobbit.
So there's a little bit of period of time because there's development and stuff. Like you had the success with the Wizard of Oz, and then
Hobbit was a difficult experience because I licensed something that wasn't done yet, and I never would do that again. So I licensed the movie that was 2 movies. Then they decided to make it 3 movies, right? So that pushed my timeline. Then we couldn't get any assets. Nobody would show what Smaug looked like. Okay, do I have a Smaug somewhere? There's a Smaug in the house. So anyway, nobody knew what Smaug looked like, and they wouldn't show us Smaug. So we made the artwork based on whatever. We made this playfield. We showed it at Expo one year. I guess it was 14 or 13. And everybody loved it at once, and then everybody hated it like a minute later because the dragon looked like a flying rat, you know? So the movie came out in December. That was October. The movie came out in December. We saw all the assets. I saw what the assets were. I said, listen, we got to redo this game. What do you mean? The game's done. Just sell it. I says, yeah, we're going to sell 200 of them or 300 of them when I can sell 2,000 of them or 3,000 of them. So we had to back up, take a year and another $1 million and redo the game.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow.
But we sold over 3,000 games.
Yeah. But
We sold over 3,000 games.
That's great.
Yeah.
You got all the. I mean, the assets were all there. It's and the hobby.
Finally,
Yeah.
when the world could see them,
Yeah.
you know, and you got to sign papers like anything you get is watermarked with your name on it, right? So, and they have watermarks that you can't even see, and they hide things in some places. So if any of that leaked, you're personally responsible for their loss of business to their franchise.
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
you
interesting.
could be penalized $1 billion. Good luck collecting
Yeah.
it. But anyway,
Wow.
I'll be paying them with my underwear and my socks.
That's interesting.
Is that-
Jack, you talked about the 70s, the 80s, walked us through the 90s, 2000s. Tell us about Jersey Jack Pinball currently, the state of your company, the tables currently, where you are as far as 2025, the future of Jersey Jack Pinball. What are some tables that you're visioning? Give us a sneak peek.
So I was lucky in 2015. I wanted to recapitalize the company. We were getting along okay, but it was, a lot of pressure. And I had some VC people come in, and they're young people, and they don't even know what a pinball machine is. And one day my daughter says to me, Dad, the only people that would invest in a business like this are pinball people. You have amazing customer base. You have amazing relationships with people. People love you. Well, she does. And she said, you have to call, and she told me who to call. She said, you have to call this lady because she likes you a lot. You're dealing with her 15, 18 years, and they know a lot of people. So I called this lady, and she said, yeah, I'll put you in touch with somebody. And she put me in touch with somebody, and somebody asked for financial information, which we sent. And I wound up with one of my customers as my partner, Leonard Abbas and Brett Abbas, his son. And
That is so.
it's an amazing story because they love pinball. It's in their blood. They have a gigantic pinball collection, half of which I sold them at pinballsales.com. And it's a beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
And what we've been able to do, we moved the factory from Jersey to Chicago. It's hard saying Jersey Jack Pinball is in Chicago, but Jersey Mike's, there's Jersey Mike's around the country, so it's
That was just most of the talent, or there's more talent in Chicago for pinball and versus Jersey, or
I wanted to be away. I honestly wanted to be away from the vendors in Chicago because you can't keep a secret. Everybody who's bowling with each other, who's golfing with each other, who plays, football, whatever. It's like nobody can keep their mouth shut. Everybody knows what everybody's working on. So, whatever. But I will say that we have our next 3 games are in development right now. Next up is Steve Ritchie. Then you got Mark Seiden, and you got Eric is already working on his next game. And I have the licenses for 2 more after that. So I'm like the guy that rides the horse at the front of the cavalry. I'm the scout. I'm like way out there. I'm like, by the time I look at Harry Potter, I'm like, I got like 11 years into it by the time we signed the license agreement.
Sure.
on my so I got my Harry Potter CE 2 weeks ago, and it's amazing.
Oh, congratulations.
It's beautiful, Jack. And then on it, Joe, there is a little like a wax seal with signatures, and then under Jack's name, it's like licensing maven, co-founder, and it's like you are the tip of the spear in terms of licensing and development. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, JP, who did the card, felt that I deserved a little extra credit. Not that I needed. My name's on the company, but I deserved a little extra credit for getting that license, because that was supposedly the license that nobody wanted, and J.K. Rowling don't like pinball, and blah blah blah. It was all a smokescreen. So. Listen, you can't lose if you don't give up. So if I don't give up, there's still hope for success.
Jack, what's your opinion on virtual pinball? It's such a boom that's become of Vpinning and having a table or a machine, I should say, with hundreds of different tables. Talk about your opinion, where you stand as that versus a traditional pinball table.
Years ago, Ultracade made a pinball machine like that. If you remember, it was big and heavy because it was a picture tube in it. When I first saw it, I said, wow, this is interesting. And I played it. The mechanics of that, as compared to today, are two different things. Today it's a lot closer to real. I think it's a good gateway. To play pinball with a metal ball. I think they're great. Anything that can introduce more people in the world to pinball is good.
Yeah,
I love that answer.
Yeah, actually,
and that's how I feel about it. I think it's great.
I played there's actually, Jack, a version of Wizard of Oz on a virtual table, but it's nothing, of course, like the real table. But it is interesting. You get a little bit of a feel of the layout. But that's I didn't get my first real pinball machine until after my virtual pinball machine, where I started playing it. I'm like, this is great, but there's nothing like the real thing. And you kind of
if you play High Speed, or you play Black Knight, or you play any of those games, you get into them, and then you want to go find one in the wild. Where can I find this thing? You go to Pinball Map and find one near you, and go play it, and say, gee, this left flip is weaker than the right flipper, and on my game at home, they're the same. Well, that's a mechanical pinball machine. We could build 10 games at the same time with all the same people and all the same parts, and each game's going to play different.
Do you think, Jack, with any of your upcoming releases where Harry Potter, it covers all the movies, and you can actually select which movie to play in, and it's like you're in the story, and it's a big screen, and you're like immersed. So the pinball with that immersion fits really well. Do you think there's some future releases that could really do more like Harry Potter does? And with
I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
I certainly hope so. I mean, we try to outdo ourselves with every game, but we don't make one game look really bad and one game really good. They're all like brother and sister. They're all twins to each other. They all complement each other, really, and they all have different innovations that came to each game. So we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep pushing the envelope of challenge ourselves.
One early critique of the Jersey Jack games was like the flipper feel. People used to say it doesn't feel snappy, but the last handful of games, I think, like Toy Story and certainly Avatar and now Harry Potter, feel great. I can go from my Godzilla to my Harry Potter, and they both feel happy and strong.
Well, even on my Wizard of Oz that's downstairs, if I turn the flippers all the way up, they're good. Where we had them, they were squashy. We had people in the company that didn't want to break things, or they didn't want, I don't know what they wanted, but on poorly designed games, if you have really strong flippers, you can make it up a ramp where you're in a bad shot. Okay? You should, on Wizard of Oz, my argument always was, there's one ramp, I don't want to be rejected. I want to get up the ramp. If I get rejected one time or two times, okay, but if I'm getting rejected 4 out of 5, there's something wrong. It's not right. Either widen the ramp, or make it less steep, or make the flipper stronger. Do something. And some of it fell on deaf ears. Some of it got eye roll. Some of it got done. Just because you own something and you write somebody's check, at that point I owned the whole company, and somebody knows better than you. Okay, well, maybe you do, but I'm doing this. I hate to say, I'm happy to say, 50 years doing this. But I must know something. I'm still doing it.
That's an unbelievable feat, Jack. 50 years doing this, half a century.
I'm only 55 years old.
Yeah, you started in utero. Yeah. No, Jack, we're approaching an hour here. I want to thank you, Jack, for so much for coming on with Alan and myself. Any plans you've got coming up for Thanksgiving, for the holiday? Do you host?
Yeah, last Thanksgiving I was in Australia because I had a show, so I missed it, and I got to eat a lobster.
Lobster, okay.
Crayfish, not even a lobster. Crayfish. Yeah. This year I'm not going to miss Thanksgiving. We have IAPA coming up, the amusement park show in Orlando, the week of the 17th, I think it is, and then the following week is Thanksgiving, and then I have a couple of shows that I'm going to London. Some point in December, and a couple other shows. So I'm like dog poop. I'm all over the place. But I just want to tell everybody,
Please.
Pinball is something that it's beyond and bigger than all of us. It's really something that brings everybody together. It doesn't matter if you're red or you're blue or you're a boy or girl or whatever you are. It levels everything out where it makes us all equal. Anybody can beat anybody else on that play field on any given day, at any given game. Anything's possible. Always try to be a positive ambassador for pinball. Be positive. I always say my blood type is B positive. I can never be negative. So, there's enough negativity in the world. We come to play pinball to escape all of that stuff and go to a different place and hang out and enjoy life because, we're not here forever. There was Mark Helms did a new film. I don't know if you guys saw it. It's called Pinball, the American Game. I'll text you a link to it.
Yeah, no. What is it?
I'll text you a link. It's Pinball, the American Game. And he took years. He took about 11 years to make this thing. He's got video of me from 2011 when I went to the first shows and stuff like that. It's about an hour and a half, and it's pretty good. And one of the quotes I say there, well, life is like 3 balls of the game. Don't waste them.
That's right.
Jack, how else can we end it, Alan? That's like the perfect way to end it.
I don't know. We'll have to get something.
I do have another question though, Jack.
Sure.
Is this? I mean, you have the long view of pinball. Is what we're experiencing right now with Harry Potter, and people? It's amazing. People love it. And then, right, there's the excitement on other manufacturers doing amazing pinball tables as well.
Yep.
What are your thoughts? Like, does this seem like a really amazing, exciting time where people are really get back into like pinball and getting excited and buying them immediately? It just feels really exciting and special.
When I started the company and I went on Charlie Emery's podcast, I said I hope there's 50 pinball companies making games. Competition's better for everybody. Sometimes it gives the customer more choices. I don't know about the economics of it long term with the economy or whatever, but a lot of collectors were buying 3 or 4 pinballs a year. Maybe they're down to buying 1 or 2. Maybe they're trading some games back because they have no room, or they want to pick up the money that they made on older games. So I think today people really want to buy a great game. They don't want to buy a good game. They want to buy a great game. And that's what we're trying to make. We're trying to make great games.
Oh no, I was just saying your experience is really great, and it's I'm again loving Harry Potter. It's amazing. Kudos to you and your team, and I know it was a long road to get the license, and I liked how you were like creating some excitement at some like Joe, he said like don't spend another dime until you see Harry Potter. And it was like, oh my gosh, we can't wait till it comes out. What's it gonna look like? And
I got some criticism for that. I had some people said, some podcasters said Jack must have Alzheimer's or he talked out of turn or he got in trouble for saying that. And why would you say something like that? He's not going to sell Avatar. He told people not to buy anything. Don't spend any money. Once you saw the game, I said you're gonna have a Wizard of Oz moment when you see the game. That's right. And I wasn't giving him a salesman stuff. I was telling you the truth.
You're CEO. You do what you want.
I've had my eye on you, Jack, for a long time. As a pinball guy, representing Jersey, obviously Italian heritage, you checked off a lot of boxes for me. And this was certainly a treat. His company is one of the best pinball companies. Alan knows how I feel. I'm not just saying that because he was with us. No. Please check him out. There will be a link in the description to his wonderful company. Alan, I want to thank you once again for setting this up and negotiating this. Jack, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a treat. Good luck to you and Jersey Jack Pinball, and of course have a happy Thanksgiving coming up and a happy holiday as well.
You too. Thank you. God bless.
You too, Jack. God bless.
Thank you, Jack.
I'll send you a link to the movie.
Sounds good.
Don't forget, text us.
I'll send it now. I'll text it. See you guys.